Well, you may have heard Oregon has a big election day coming up on Tuesday. And in Washington County, the ballot features a battle royale between the incumbent district attorney and a well-funded challenger who wants his job. Now, I got to be honest, sometimes these types of races could really be a snooze fest, but not this one. The two have raised a combined $1 million. There are allegations flying back and forth. The two have taken off their gloves and both are looking for the knockout blow. Kevin Barton is the current district attorney in Washington County, elected 4 years ago. He's worked as a prosecutor in the office for 15 years. On the other side, Brian Decker, a lawyer who worked as a federal prosecutor in Arizona for nearly 4 years and then in 2016 moved to Oregon and worked as a public defender. The challenger believes the system can change for the better.
What I have advocated for is a more comprehensive approach to public safety that also provides resources to treatment programs and other programs in the community that are going to tackle issues like addiction and homelessness and mental illness, which unfortunately under the current approach do not get addressed enough until they end up in the jail and in the criminal justice system.
Barton, the incumbent, favors a more traditional approach.
My priority as a career prosecutor is to keep Washington County safe. It's where I live and where I'm raising my family. And I think that when we have outsiders that dump in, extremely large amounts of money that are trying to accomplish radical change and radical reform, I think we've seen across the country that that is not a recipe for success and not what we want here in our community.
It went on for years.
One of the big issues in the race involves the prosecution of a nurse at the Coffee Creek prison. 27 women accused the male nurse of sex abuse in 2018. The district attorney's office reviewed the case but did not bring charges. Decker's using that as an example of what's wrong with the current DA.
When law enforcement presented that case to the Washington County District Attorney's Office under Kevin Barton, they declined to charge the nurse with any sort of crimes, because what they told OPB a couple months ago was that they didn't think there was enough evidence because nobody would believe the women because of their criminal records.
But Barton says his opponent is the one getting it wrong.
That was the right decision in 2018 based on the evidence that we had. After that decision was made, the FBI conducted an investigation, an additional investigation, and the suspect in that case provided sworn deposition testimony. And 3 years later, the U.S. Attorney's Office was able to use that additional FBI investigation and sworn deposition testimony to file charges. I talked to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and they have told me that they would not have been able to file charges, just like we were not able to file charges based on the evidence in 2018.
But Decker, the challenger, says the DA is the one who's wrong.
At this point, he's saying now that the FBI came up with new evidence, when the truth is Oregon State Police remained the lead investigators on the case, even after Washington County District Attorney's Office made its initial charging decision and continued to present new evidence to Washington County, but the District Attorney's Office decided not to further pursue the case.
Another issue that surfaced, the way the challenger, Decker, treated 3 different crime victims when they were on the witness stand in various cases he had as a defense attorney. They accuse him of saying that they were lying. It's the focus of an ad by the current DA.
So he decimated my character.
Decker, the challenger, rejects the idea that he mistreated the women.
I have represented victims in court before, sat down with them, counseled them. I know that going through this experience of a trial like this is incredibly difficult for victim witnesses. And that's why I did my job as best I could and as respectfully as I could as an attorney who had been appointed to represent defendants.
But Barton, the DA, said the challenger went too far.
His representation went far beyond common decency. And I think the 3 women who came and spoke up made a very good point that he went too far, demeaned them, belittled them. And someone like that may be a wonderful criminal defense attorney, but would be a terrible district attorney.
And then there's the money. In terms of big checks, the Oregonian reports Decker, the challenger, got $225,000 from an Oregon man who also funded a now-defunct ballot campaign to decriminalize sex work. And Barton, the incumbent, got $100,000 from Nike co-founder Phil Knight. Kevin Barton, the DA there, by the way, has a history of attracting well-financed challengers. 4 years ago, it was Max Wall, also a defense lawyer. That race ended up as the most expensive DA race in Oregon history. And Barton won.